the knees sunk down in front of the foot pegs and it kind of allows your upper body to be backwards like this. This is wrong. In fact, it's the complete opposite of what you should be doing. So when you slide the feet back into position, what you'll find if you guys stand up on the bikes is your knees should be directly on top of the foot peg. So when you look down, you should be able to see the entire top of your boot. You should also feel the weight in only the back part of your leg. Let's all do it wrong for a second. While you're standing, everybody drive the knees super far forward, even further forward. Take your hands off the bar so all that weight's down into your legs. Where do we feel that? Quads, knees, shins. Careful, because that might, what did you get, by the way? Patella or hamstring or cadaver? Hamstring. Okay. For me, they did patella tendon, which I had a lot of like pain in the front part of my kneecap, especially if I was doing this. So if you're feeling the weight in your quads, your knees, and your shins, that means you're doing it wrong. That means your knees are too far forward. Now, when we're standing, if we drive the knees back, kind of driving your butt a little further back, sinking into it a bit, we're gonna feel that weight where? We're gonna feel it all shift into our calves, our hamstrings, and that weight sink into our butt. That's where we want it. If you have ribs on the top of your seat, you can sometimes use those as a reference point, but the foot pegs are a really good reference point to be able to look down, just make sure that you are there. The knees staying stacked on top of the foot pegs, yes, there are certainly exceptions to that rule in specific situations, but almost always they should stay right stacked on top. Rich, anything you want to add as far as the knees on top of the foot pegs?
Yeah, same exact thing. Just making sure that you're not letting your knees go in front. I always say knees behind toes. There's a time and a place where you'll drive your knees in. You'll see me do it if I'm looking for suspension compression into a log or a rock or something. You'll see it in Supercross on the wall jumps, right? They'll drive into the machine. Yeah. But the majority of the time, that's where they're riding, right? Those knees behind toes are just stacked on top. That's almost identical.
And that is where it starts to go wrong for a lot of you guys, especially watching in the warm-ups, is those knees come forward. When the knees come forward, put your hands on the bars, put your chest kind of, get your butt back a little bit. Now, actually, you're so used to being in the right position. Do it the wrong way. Aim your chest down. So a lot of people end up kind of like this, right? Just like a hunchback. You can see it now in her upper back. Just like one big, just give me a good old hunchback like this. As soon as the knees go forward, now we start to just connect the entire body. And this is where we can start talking about the hips. So our hips need to be in what's called an anterior pelvic tilt, which is, I think, a great way for me to get this visual is it's like pretending that you're a dog, somebody grabbed you by the tail, and they just yank your tail out from behind you. So it's gonna pop your butt back. It's gonna create an arch in your lower back. So if she's got a chest protector on, she's doing it right. Now that chest protector is sitting flush to her lower back. That's an important thing to note. And then she's going to get your head a little further forward. She's gonna also aim her chest just ever so slightly, like kind of up and out. So it's going to really pull you into that back arched position. Do you have other ways of describing that?
So a lot of times, we could talk about like a pole, and you would have contact with the pole on your tailbone, your shoulder blades, and your head, right? So as soon as you go to here, it's one straight line between those 3 points. Your tail or your hips are in an anterior, right? So anterior, posterior. That's where we see a lot of guys riding knees forward, posterior rotation. As soon as you start to go knees forward, posterior rotation, we start to see the chest come up. The elbows will start to drop. That's where a lot of guys are going to get arm pump. If you're wondering why you're getting arm pump even on the warm-up laps, it's usually because you're riding very knees forward. Once your knees are forward, you transfer all the control into the handlebars of the bike. And really, we don't control the bike with our handlebars so much. I mean, our hands are quite loose if you're doing it properly. So in this position, we could lay a pole, a piece of PVC pipe. That's how I kind of used to practice it. Would feel contact on the back of my head between my shoulder blades and my hips, my tailbone, and I'd be able to make essentially a deadlift form, and I would remain contacting all 3 points. Has anybody ever deadlift here before? Right. So you don't deadlift with your knees over the bars, do you? It's the same thing when we're deadlifting. It's the same thing when we're riding. We go into this anterior rotation position with our hips.
What's up, guys? I'm giving away my custom built in Italy CR150. This bike was built from the ground up. It's one of a kind. and I'm giving it away to a lucky subscriber inside of the Moto Academy app. Go to the motoacademy.com, subscribe before June, and we'll be picking one lucky winner to take this bad boy home. Yep, it's just hinging at the hips, which does require quite a bit of flexibility. You could even hip hinge right here, and
that's like my warm-up. I will do 50 just to make sure that those muscles are firing and I'm feeling the right thing on the motorcycle, you know. And again, going back to the tension in the hamstrings, when you go in to that hinge position, you should feel a tension here. That means I'm doing it right. When I'm on the track, it's like a signal to me saying, okay, I'm in the right position. I feel that tension.
Big time. And even for me, I haven't been riding a whole lot lately. I'm getting tight even just sitting here talking to you guys about it. Do we understand that hip position? And the reason this is so important as well, like he described it really well, the riders that let the knees come forward, put your hands on the bars, to allow the upper body to come back. I think subconsciously we're doing that because we want our heads to get away from the front end because we're afraid. That's right. Anytime somebody's afraid in Supercross, like entering whoops, well, nope. They push the handlebars away from them. The knees creep forward to kind of make room for you to do that. I'd imagine you see that a lot when riders approach a scary obstacle.
You think about a log, right? I mean, I hit logs all day. Most of the time, when someone hits a log for the first time, it's like they want to get away from it. It's like they move away, and it's actually the complete opposite of what you want to do. Often when riders are like worried about hitting a jump and they're worried about getting a kick over the bars, it's because their weight is too far back, which sounds counterintuitive. It's like, wait, shouldn't I have my weight far back so I don't get kicked? The further back you are, the more you will get kicked, the less reaction you have to the kick. That's kind of the way I explain it. So when I go into a log, I attack the log. I move forward with my head. I stay in that anterior rotation. I drive into it. Then when I get a kick, I can move back if I need to counteract. Driving your weight in front of the machine or leading with your upper body, that chest down position and driving forward in that anterior rotation will allow you so much more control and so much more reaction to what possibly might happen. As soon as you go to that posterior rotation, as soon as that chest starts to come up, now you're in kind of a state of reaction all the time, and you're trying to, get away from what's coming at you, where you need to be attacking what's coming at you.
When you are off the back of the bike, I always kind of visualize it as like you're like loading up a slingshot in a bad way.
Yeah, there you go.
Right? It's like, okay, all right, we're pulling you back and good luck. But when we let you go, like you are going to get springboarded over the front, whether it's a set of Supercross whoops or a log or that big jump that you're doing that you're a little bit afraid of. So naturally you do this, right? That's what's going to be pitching that bike in weird ways. The way that Jet explained it really simply is he just said, what do you do like when you walk? Or if you start to jog or go for a run, he's like, your head, your chest and your head lead. You're not going for a walk or going for a run like this. So why would you ride the dirt bike in that way, right? So he said, let the bike push you around the track. Let the bike push you around the track. It is scary to do at first because everything in your instinct is like, nope, like let's stay back here. So I do think that's why it's so important to just slow the heck down. So that way you can get used to hitting obstacles in the correct position, do it a few times, form the muscle memory, realize, okay, this is actually pitching me exactly where it should. And then you'll see that progression really start to ramp up. And then that one point that you were plateaued at speed-wise, you're gonna go past that point before you even realize it without even having to try.